In the winter of 1925, the town of Nome, located in Alaska, wasn't just cold, it was a tomb. Buried under feet of ice and cut off from the rest of the world by a frozen Bering Sea, the 1,400 people living there were about to face an enemy that bullets couldn't stop. It started with a 3-year-old boy. He had a sore throat, a fever, and a terrifying gray membrane growing across his windpipe. The local doctor, Curtis Welch, knew exactly what it was: diphtheria. In the medical world, they called it the Strangling Angel because of the way it slowly suffocated children from the inside out. The town's supply of medicine had expired, and the nearest fresh batch was over 1,000 miles away. With the port frozen shut and planes unable to fly in the minus 60-degree weather, the people of Nome were desperately waiting to die. Their only hope was a relay of dogs and men who were willing to run into a storm that should have been impossible to survive. This is the true, gritty, and often forgotten story of the great race of mercy. By late January, the situation in Nome had turned into a nightmare. Dr. Welch had quarantined the town, but the Strangling Angel was moving faster than he could track. He sent out a desperate telegram to the territory's governor. An epidemic of diphtheria is almost inevitable here. I am in urgent need of 1 million units of antitoxin. The message reached Anchorage, where they found 300,000 units of the life-saving serum. It was enough to slow down the death toll, but getting it to Nome was the problem. The serum was sent by train as far as it could go, to a tiny station called Nanana. From there, Nome was still 674 miles away. Usually, the mail run over that distance took 30 days. Dr. Welch estimated that if the serum wasn't delivered in 6 days, it would be useless. Either the medicine would freeze and shatter, or everyone in Nome would already be dead. The government turned to the only thing that moved in the Alaskan winter: the mushers. They organized a relay of 20 teams. These weren't just athletes. They were tough, hardened men, many of them native Alaskans, who knew the land better than anyone. The first musher to take the 20-pound cylinder of serum was Wild Bill Shannon. When he set off into the night, the temperature was minus 50 degrees. It was so cold that his spit froze before it hit the ground. To keep himself from dying of hypothermia, Shannon had to run alongside his sled, his lungs burning with every breath of icy air. When he finally handed over the serum to the next team, his face was black with frostbite, and 3 of his dogs were dead from the cold. But the serum was still moving. As the relay continued, the weather got even worse. A massive Arctic storm was blowing in, with winds so strong they could flip a 500-pound sled like a toy. This is where the story you know from the cartoons starts to change. While the world remembers a dog named Balto, the real hero of the trail was a 12-year-old Siberian husky named Togo and his musher, Leonard Sapala. Sapala was a legendary dog breeder, and Togo was his greatest creation. But by 1925, Togo was considered an old man in dog years. Despite his age, Sapala knew Togo was the only dog with the heart to handle the most dangerous leg of the journey. They didn't just run a normal stretch, they ran 260 miles, more than double the distance of any other team. The most terrifying moment came when Sapala decided to take a shortcut across the Norton Sound. It was a vast expanse of frozen sea ice that was notoriously unstable. As they ran, the ice began to crack and break apart under the sled. The wind was howling at 65 miles per hour, making it impossible for Sapala to see. He couldn't even see his own lead dog. He had to put his entire life, and the lives of every child in Nome, into Togo's paws. Togo navigated the cracking floes in total darkness, sniffing out the safe ice and leading the team to the shore just moments before the entire section of ice they had been standing on drifted out to sea. Togo ran until his legs were raw and his coat was matted with ice. When they finally reached the next handoff point, Togo collapsed. He would never be able to race again. He had given everything he had. The final leg of the journey was handed to a man named Gunnar Kazan. His lead dog was a young, black and white husky named Balto. Kazan set off into a blizzard so thick he couldn't see his own hands. At one point, a blast of wind flipped the sled, and the cylinder of serum was buried in the deep snow. In a panic, Kazan had to dig through the drifts with his bare hands, suffering agonizing frostbite until he felt the cold metal of the canister. Balto, through sheer instinct, found the trail again. They reached the outskirts of Nome at 5:30 in the morning on February 2nd. The town was silent. Kazan and Balto were so exhausted and frozen that they could barely move, but they had done it. They covered 674 miles in just 5.5 days, a world record that has never been broken. When the news hit the lower 48 states, Balto became an overnight sensation. He got a statue in New York Central Park, a Hollywood movie deal, and his name became a household word. But back in Alaska, there was a bitter taste in the air. The mushers knew the truth. Balto had run the final 55 miles, while Togo had run the 261 miles of hell that actually saved the mission. Leonard Sapala was heartbroken that his champion, Togo, was being ignored by the world. He once said, "I hope I shall never be the man to take away credit from any dog, but I could not stand it when Balto, the newspaper dog, received a statue for his glorious feat." The 1925 Serum run wasn't a fairy tale. It was a brutal, bloody, and desperate fight against nature. It cost the lives of many dogs and left the men with permanent scars. But because of those 20 teams, the epidemic in Nome was stopped. Only 5 children died. Without the race of mercy, thousands would have been buried in the permafrost. Today, we remember Balto for his fame, but we should remember Togo for his heart. And we should remember the men who stood on the back of those sleds, staring into a minus 85-degree wind and refused to turn back. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more untold stories, and also stay safe out there.